All right, so time now for us to talk insurance for the masses. We'll do life sometime, but let's tackle general business because that's broad. And a lot of the times we hear fires, you know, there's a flooding, you know, things come up, things that we have no control over. What can insurance help us with? And we're not talking people who are doing, who are necessarily salaried workers. We're talking people who have their own little business that they're doing in their little corner. You're probably selling something that you consider very small. You think, oh, me, I have nothing to do with insurance. I have the expert here to educate us more on this issue. My guest is Mr. Winfred Kwesi Doji, and he is head sales and marketing department at the State Insurance Company, SIC. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
So, for persons like us who are not doing maybe 8 to 5 kind of job, but we're doing our little something in our little corner, are insurances for us as well?
That's very interesting. And your question boiled down to the challenges that we are facing currently in trying to penetrate insurance deep into the Ghanaian society. You realize that the group we are talking about constitutes about more than 60% of our economy. And yet, if you check the number of them that have insurance, any form of insurance, you'll be surprised. Very little. And that makes insurance penetration very low in this country. About 2%.
You know, usually when very ordinary persons think insurance, we're thinking, okay, you have a car, because they say insure your car.
Yes.
Sometimes they say house.
Yes.
Which is not sort of compulsory. You can decide to do it or not. What other areas are there to insure?
Very well, very well. But before we even go to the other areas, ask yourself how many people have insured their houses that they have toiled to build over the years with their income. When you talk of these 60% of the population with informal sector, all of them, most of them own houses, but have they insured it against fire, against flood, against earthquake? And these are all risks that they are exposed to.
Maybe it's because the premiums are so huge.
Interestingly, the premium rather are so low when it comes to those risks, because we all know that these are risks that we are naturally exposed to, and so therefore the premiums are, you will be talking of 0.000% of a value of a house against all this chain of risk that do happen in our life every day. Now
let's stay with the house.
Yes.
If you're renting, can you insure anything?
If you are renting, depend upon the tenancy agreement you have. Sometimes you must insure the buildings, but if the tenancy agreement doesn't allow you to insure the building, your content, you have all your furnitures, you have the TVs, the air conditions, name them, they all cost millions of Ghana cedi, and yet we left them thinking they cannot be insured. They are all insurable. They are all insurable. Now, apart from the fire, the motor for the vehicles that you talk about, you the individuals, for instance, if I may ask you today, you wake up from bed, thank God you are alive, what is the probability that driving to work you will be safe in arriving here this morning? What's the probability that going through your work schedule you will be safe without any accident? What is the probability that you get home safely? Take a natural condition of a market woman who is selling, for instance, at Makola. Okay, this person might not know so much about insurance, but his life or her life is always and almost at a risk. If you talk of all the risks associated with that life, but has such a person ever thought of taking insurance to protect one, his or her life, which, if he's a breadwinner, is not only in his own interest but on the dependent that he may be leaving behind today if he becomes, for instance, a vegetable as a result of an accident? Has he taken it from insurance? In that category, we have life insurance for the person and general accident also for the person. So when we talk of life, this is something that you work today planning for tomorrow. You put in a bit of your income aside, which you reserve, and the next day, tomorrow, which is uncertain, which you don't know it could become a gold cake for you. And as for these ones, there is no true way about it. It's your money, it comes, and insurance has the interesting way of making people rich, but we don't know in this country.
So share with us that interesting way.
Yes.
The issue has been how quickly do you if somebody comes to make a claim,
yes,
how quickly do you settle that?
Yes.
Because I've heard people complain,
yes,
whether there's an accident, you've done motor insurance,
yes,
or anything of the sort,
yes,
and people say when you are claiming it's so difficult,
yes,
they want to do investigations, and and you need the money.
Very well, very well. It's all to protect the person who has invested his money in one way or the other, or secure his life, his property in one way or the other via insurance. Because you and I agree that we live, and that is also another risk. We live in a very risky world. A risk of being even sophisticated day in and day out with the increase in technology. If you catch your mind by, there was this gentleman who committed suicide along the Spinters Road, a lawyer. You remember?
Yes, I do.
By trying to defraud an insurance scheme. Those are issues that when paying a claim, you have to be wary about, because the money you are holding is not for you. You are holding it in trust of the beneficiaries, of the contributors of the scheme, of those who have come to take the risk. So therefore, you don't just disburse it out of your will. All the procedures, the mechanism we put in place that, quote and unquote, could cause some little delay are just to protect the very fund that we are being held.
Because for the ordinary person, for the ordinary person who has a little business, who sometimes when they are fortunate, the salespeople go out there and then they get their contributions. When they want to make a claim, now they have to come to the office and go through all those administrative processes, which when they were contributing to, they were not going through. So it's sort of frustrating. And it's like, let me just keep my thing. I mean, if something happens tomorrow and I have, then I'll take care of myself. If I don't, so be it.
No, that is rather the wrong perception that we need to correct. It's your money. When you are coming for it, you must come in person, unless of course you've authority note. That salesman who comes and fill all those proposal form to you is a human being. He can be prone to anything. What about if you collect the money and does not give it to you and decide to divert it somehow? Then you will come and blame the insurance company. So we always ask that once you are alive, once you can move, come with an identifiable record that we can be a driving license, a passport, something that represents you on paper. So it's very important that you come yourself to sign for your claim benefit.
So you're saying that if you have a provision store, you sell provisions, a tiny little store, you can insure the things in there, the provisions?
Perfectly. And this is very advisable to the general public out there, because then anything at all, imagine you close this shop this evening, you go home, the next day you come and everything is consumed by fire.
Okay, so in that case, what would the insurance company do?
First of all, you have insured against a certain value. We would like you again to fill a claim form. You will declare the value that has been or was in the store at the time of the fire.
Okay.
Then we look at it. We will request a fire certificate, okay, from you. Then the police report, because any accident must be reported to a third-party regulatory authority.
So what if it was an armed robbery?
Perfectly, it's covered. Once you have taken a burglary cover and it is an armed robbery and we can have physical evidence of breakage, you don't have a problem. It is only when it is pilferage. We don't have cover now in this market for pilferage, because pilferage is very, very subjective. Okay, so you yourself
sometimes there's not necessarily evidence,
That is perfect, that is it. So it's become difficult to cover. But burglary, forcibly entry, evidences are there. Not too worried about that.
Okay. Yeah. So we're getting ourselves educated in insurance, and there are some very basic things that I also want to ask you with regards to the ordinary person, who wants to insure. So you're saying, okay, you can insure the things that you are selling, and then with regards to life, you can also insure yourself.
Very good.
In one way or the other.
Very good.
You can also take educational policies for your children.
Very good.
Tell us how that works.
Very good. The educational policy, if the time I was going to school at Legon, That is when they introduced the payment for the utilities fees. And I think at that time we were paying 5 cedi, which is 50,000 those days. You know, 5 cedis now is it has some big denomination at the time. And we were crying. We went on strike. Hey. Today, if you check the usual normal fee that they pay, even at our public universities, it's a lot of money. All the educational policy tend to do is for you to plan against, so that when your child reach that stage, it is not now that you are going for a loan that you pay with interest in the future.
Okay, so let me bring your 5 cedi 50,000 analogy into this picture.
Exactly.
If I'm contributing a certain amount now, and my policy would mature in, say, 18 years,
yes,
the value of that money that I'm contributing as it is now would not be the same when the child reaches 18.
Very well.
What does the insurance company do? I mean, are you giving me some profit or something?
Very well. This is a very important question, very core. What you do, you know, insurance is based on the actuary studies. We factor in inflation and we hedge all our beneficiaries' contribution against that inflationary hedge. One, not only that one, we take into consideration the mortality rates, because these are life business. You are dealing with life. The person can take the policy today, and the next day that beneficiary, that person who is contributing, could pass away. Does it mean that if he passes away today, the child shouldn't go to school tomorrow? We factor in all that into the premium.
Mr. Doji, I wish we had a whole lot of time to talk about. I have so many things I want to ask you. For instance, I want to find out, if you don't make claims, I mean, you've been contributing, but you've never claimed. Is there something that an insurance company would give you? I know ELAC does something like that, but we'll have you in to talk about this. We'll have to end the show. Thank you so much.
Well, you mentioned ELAC. Maybe I should also mention SIC, where I'm coming from. We give a no-claim discount.
So we'll get you again, and we'll continue this discussion. Thank you for being a part of our show for today, the Wednesday edition. The AM show is back at exactly 6 a.m. and the show is proudly brought to you by Mixi Coffee. Go ahead and have a beautiful, beautiful day.